Welcome to the Formation Conversation, where we explore how everyday people at White Oak Christian Church are apprenticing under Jesus and living out their faith in real, tangible ways. These stories offer encouragement, practical wisdom, and a deeper understanding of the spiritual practices that shape us to become more like Jesus for the sake of others. In this episode, we talk with Sean, a young adult who's learning how to move beyond just knowing about God to actually walking closely with Him. Sean shares honestly about his own journey, how spiritual practices like prayer, community, and reflection are helping him stay grounded in faith and to keep growing. His story offers an encouraging glimpse into what it looks like to follow Jesus in the everyday, especially as a young adult trying to live with purpose and intention. Sean shares honestly about his own journey, how spiritual practices like prayer, community, and reflection are helping him stay grounded in faith and to keep growing. His story offers an encouraging glimpse into what it looks like to follow Jesus in the everyday, especially as a young adult trying to live with purpose and intention. Sean, welcome. I'm so excited for this conversation.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, thanks for making the time. We're going to get started with just a few rapid fire questions just to kind of get to know you a little bit better. So first question, what's your go-to meal when you're short on time? Chipotle.
Chipotle 5 days a week, minimum.
So I feel like you can learn a lot about somebody just based on their Chipotle order. So what's your go-to typically?
It's the same thing every time. Only variation is chicken or steak. I get white rice, steak, corn, sour cream, cheese, lettuce if I'm feeling healthy. Yeah, that's about it. I'm simple.
Okay.
I can't disappoint people with that order because they're like, "You're supposed to be a Chipotle fanatic. Is this all you get? No tomato sauce?" I'm just like, no, I don't want that.
I don't do cheese or sour cream, so whatever that says about me, right? We all like what we like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great meal on the go for sure. All right, next, you're gonna rank order these three things. Rank one being your favorite, three being your least favorite, okay? Spotify, YouTube, and podcasts.
It's hard for me for Spotify and YouTube. If I'm gonna go with consistency, I would go with Spotify for number one.
Okay.
'Cause I definitely am on Spotify the most. Then I would go for nowadays podcasts for number two. YouTube's gonna be third. I'm not on YouTube as much as I used to be. You asked me that question 5 years ago, it would have been YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how those things change, right?
Yeah.
What about things that maybe have changed, right? What is probably the most used emoji in your text messages?
The like laughing a ton, like the tears coming down the face, smiley, eye squinted, like.
So the one where the tears are going out the side or going straight down like
the side.
Okay.
That one.
Okay. See, I use that one, but I'm told that's because I'm a millennial. I don't know if that's true or
It
not.
can't be true because I use it.
Okay, there we go. That makes me feel better about myself. So, next question. One random hobby or interest that most people don't know about you.
Kind of simple. I like the gym. I guess I'll go with that. I feel like people know about that. I do that a lot. Trying to think of something that I just like nobody would know about me.
Is there something new, maybe like a new hobby that you just recently kind of started that maybe some people know, but not a lot of people?
Nature. I definitely have learned to appreciate nature a lot more. I wouldn't. That's the thing. I'm having a hard time calling it a hobby because I haven't like pursued it, but I want to pursue it. So the desire's there.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hobby in the making.
It's a hobby in the making.
Okay. So would you rather lead a Bible study or join a mission trip?
Mission trip. It's like a dream of mine is going on a mission trip.
Where would be the destination that you would like to go?
Always wanted to go to the Middle East or at least the Mediterranean area.
Okay.
That's like, I mean, like if I got to spread the word there, I would be like, yeah, this is it. Thank you, God.
Yeah. Well, I hope that happens.
Thank you for this. Yeah,
Great.
I appreciate it.
Okay. TikTok theology, annoying or entertaining?
I'm guilty of it, so I'm gonna go with entertaining. I love watching like just short conversations at a college campus with a preacher and a student, or just like a debate, quick minute of it.
Yeah.
Missing tons of context to the conversation, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot through it personally. So.
Okay. What about for you in general, early mornings or late nights?
I'm not a morning person, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to stay up late, have a deep conversation about God with somebody. That's like perfect night. You can't get any better than that.
The best time to have those conversations,
Mhm.
truly, especially in your 20s.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah. Beach vacation or cabin in the woods?
Cabin in the woods. That to pursue that desired hobby, I'm gonna have to go cabin in the woods.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you like someone who can survive in nature in the cabin in the woods on your like, can you make a fire and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, I've seen them rub sticks together, so I maybe just from, like, seeing it on, like, a reality TV show, I can maybe put it together, but
Sure.
I don't know. I know there's a lot more that I don't know, so I can't be confident in a yes, but I like to think so.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic that
There
I
we go.
will.
It's like you're training for Survivor, right?
Yeah.
There we go. What book of the Bible would you read first with a new believer?
Oh, I was actually thinking about this not too long ago. I've always said the gospels are important as like if you read at least one gospel, you can get a gist of Jesus and like who he is. And obviously as Christians, it's very important. So I would say, well, I'll go with my favorite then John, as I always recommend people John. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's so outlandish from the rest of them. It really pushes a different message
Yeah.
that I don't see in the other gospels as much.
John has a way with words too that I really like. It's definitely one of my probably my favorite of the gospels for sure.
Mm,
What about a favorite place to pray?
Good place to pray. In my car. I found myself after a long shift or just like after dinner, just me pulled into the driveway in my car before I go inside. Feels like I'm closest with God in that moment for sure.
Yeah. That's so interesting. So like you're not just while driving, but like while parked in your driveway?
Yeah,
Okay.
especially late at night. I'll go back to that prior question. It's just like late at night in my car. I'm just like I can talk to God for hours in that circumstance. It just seems like
Dang. I love that. All right, Sean, finish this sentence. Lately, I can't stop listening to
Right Over Wrong by Alex Jane. He's a Christian artist. I think it is one of the best Christian songs ever made. It's rappy, modern. I think it's terrific. I love that song.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Check that out. All right. Last question. What is one small habit that you're incorporating into your life that's having a big impact on your faith and your walk with Jesus?
Um, Loving Judas is I found myself in so many circumstances being judgmental. Like today at work, I can give you an example. Is like this guy, he's new to the job, so I really had no right thinking so negatively. But we were working together. He was slacking, and I'm just like, man, this guy, how is he gonna make it here? And just in my head, and I just thought to myself, I was just like, but you don't know him. You don't know his life experiences. He's new. You have no right to be feeling this way. Um, and then I just tried my best to see the best in him and, like, conversate with him. So that's something I've been really trying to pursue is when I feel negatively about somebody, whether it's deserved or not, I just try and think, "Okay, but they're incredible in this way, and God would want me to love them for this reason because I fall short all the time, and I'm sure people have negative thoughts about me. So if I, treat others as you wanna be treated." So, I just in those circumstances, I've been trying my best, think positively, think the best of them, finding what God loves about them and love it too.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Seeing people the way God sees them.
Mhm.
Man, what a shift. That's good.
Mm.
All right. Well, Sean, we would love to hear a little bit more about your faith journey over the last few years. Would you mind sharing just a little bit about what God's been doing in your life over the last couple years?
Yeah, specifically this last year, he has moved incredibly for me, and I would say the reason was for that is because I was baptized at the Ross campus roughly a year ago, and ever since then, I've seen God work in so many different ways. I've joined multiple Bible studies since then. I've been attending churches very frequently for masses, which is not something that was common for me 4 years ago. I was actually super anti-church 4 years ago. I just thought the only way you can have a real relationship with God is if it's just you and him personalized. I had no faith in community at all, and being a part of White Oak now has been incredible for that. Um, I absolutely disagree with myself wholeheartedly. You definitely need to have community. It is so important. Just being able to have these people in my Bible study, texting them, sending TikTok theology videos to, and all that, it just makes the experience so much more significant because then I get to hear their stories, the thing they're struggling with, what they've conquered, and how I can use that to conquer my own problems, my sin, etc. Um, so yeah, just having community has been has blown up for me and in my faith journey. Uh, and for someone who thought that just wasn't important a few years ago.
Yeah. What would you say, in the last, season of your life here, it sounds like God's been doing a lot in your faith journey, but what do you would you say has shaped you the most?
Hmm. It's it was when I learned that faith is the most important thing. And I feel like that's a cliche to say as a Christian, is like, yes, we just say faith, 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 have faith in God. But I I guess I was a bit legalistic when I was first coming to Christianity. I was like, clean myself up before I bring myself to Jesus. And then I heard this saying is you wipe yourself up before you get into a shower. I was like, no. He was like, so why are you trying to clean your life up before you go talk with Jesus? And that just really, really moved me. I was just like, I stopped caring about even when I was like in a moment of sin, I was mentally acknowledging I was doing something wrong and I felt the guilt and shame and felt like God wasn't there. I would just pray. I would just talk with God. Maybe I had the time to put my hands together, close my eyes and all that, or maybe I was just in the middle of a conversation. If I did that, it would like break the chemistry or whatever. So I just said it in my head. It's just like, God, I know this isn't right. So yeah, literally just faith, like just real genuine faith and desiring the heart of God, just pursuing his heart at all costs and not letting any guilt or shame take me away from that.
Cool. You've described a season where faith started to become more personal, so what changed during that time?
Um, I really do believe it's kind of the prior what I just said. It was really just committing it all and putting it all into faith, all my marbles. It's just in my relationship with God. And I stopped worrying about um how good is my theology, how good is my apologetics, how good is how well can I argue Christianity to someone and make them believe and then use it as evidence for my own faith. Um, so I just took a step away from all that once I realized the importance in faith. And I just worked day in, day out, communicating with God, building our relationship, creating that connection with Him. That has fundamentally thrown me light years into the future with God
Yeah.
versus anything else I had done prior.
Sounds like you're describing sort of a shift from kind of intellectual faith in God to more
Mm.
of like a personal, you know
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because that's just like when I first came to Christianity, it was solely focused on uh, I saw the world, there were so many different religions, so many different options. So I had to look into it because I was just like, I can't have faith in something that I don't see evidence in, I don't see truth in. And during that experience of just researching the world and what they offer for cultural, religious beliefs, the products of their environment, where they're at, and I went all over the world. I was in the East, I was in the middle, I was in the West. I looked at all of the stuff that they offered, and I really concluded that they all just point to Jesus. Like it's all ideas Jesus presented. A lot of them agree Jesus was a good prophet, a good messenger, a good teacher. And I looked at what Jesus said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So just learning that is just I was just like, all right, I think Christianity's the truth. And then I just went so much further into that. I was like, so how is it the truth? Um, so then I started watching debates online. I started scrolling through TikTok, getting God TikToks, Instagram reels, whatever it may be. Uh, and just like watching all that. It's just I saw some people that had just some qualities that I really wanted for myself. And obviously, the answer, I think, for those qualities that they had, the honesty, the good heart, the pure heart, I think it's given through Jesus and walking with Him. So
Mm,
it's all about faith.
yeah. You've talked a little bit about over the last, couple years here or, in your journey, the things that have kind of helped shape you in that shift, right?
Mhm.
From kind of the head to the heart. You mentioned things like prayer, you've mentioned things like social media content, community. Is there anything else that's really helped shape that growth for you?
Reading the Bible is important. Um, I was someone who believed I didn't like to read. I would rather just watch short form videos or YouTube videos because it was more engaging.
Mhm.
Um, and then I was just like, if I really want a relationship with God, I need to read his words. Um, so I just opened up the Bible back in January and I started reading the New Testament. And that is, I feel like I understand God so much more through that. Not just like in that time period, but I know that that is him eternally
Mhm.
and how he will always be and the standard, the bar that he sets for me and that he wants a relationship with me. So just acknowledging that has been incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, looking back, what advice would you give your younger self at the beginning of your faith journey?
I like that question a lot. Don't put so much pressure on yourself to know everything. I think that kind of alludes back to just having faith. I would definitely hint at like, don't worry about all of this research theology. It's just like you can have some faith in God, and you don't need to be able to prove His existence to everybody um, through intellectual means. Is that there is an importance of faith, and that people who are just strictly on faith and don't engage with the nerdy intellectual side of it, that they're not any farther away from God than anyone else. Is that there's people who really believe in Jesus, that are just solely like they just put their faith. They don't have the time to go cross-reference the Bible with sources and read the ecumenical councils of the Catholic Church. Is like, no, and it's for most people it doesn't interest them the way it did for me. So it's just like there's really people who believe in God, and I yeah, that would be a big thing. Is don't be so doubtful of other people's faith as well. Judgment,
Yeah.
being judgmental for sure, and that people find God in all different ways, shapes, and forms, and that Jesus belongs to everybody.
Yeah.
And it's not just there's not a niche club that just is special because they do this, that, and this. This is everybody, no matter who they are.
Yeah, I was talking with some friends just a bit ago about how the root of wisdom is seemingly in realizing you don't know anything at all.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so much about faith is leaning into that mystery,
Hmm.
right? And we forget that faith is not, knowing everything,
Hmm.
but understanding that I may not know everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so cool. Well, let's talk about some of the spiritual practices that are transforming you. We've kind of alluded to some of those things, but would love to hear more about what spiritual practices are part of your life right now.
I'll start off with fasting. I would like to say I do fasting more than I do. It's definitely something that I've been working on. I think it's very important. Um, there's a verse, I don't know if I can quote it exactly. I'll paraphrase it. Is that fasting, prayer, and good alms will give you the ability to move mountains. Um, after reading that, it's just I want to be able to move mountains in my life. I want to be able to overcome obstacles that I didn't think possible. So fasting, I think, is important and not as talked about as it should be. It is a hard practice. I know that full well. So if you can practice that, struggle with it, I fully understand that. Prayer, and not just God, I need this, I need that. Specifically in prayer, is being thankful to God. Uh, when I just pray, I normally either begin, end, or all of it is literally just being grateful to God for something of that day. And if I can't think of anything, I'll just be grateful for the grass, the sun, the moon, just like basic stuff. I frequently am grateful for music to him. It's just some I don't know, it's personal, me and him.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
he's made some great Christian alternative. As someone who's really enjoyed music growing up, and knowing that a lot of it's secular and devilish, he's given options to people who enjoy music but want it to be praising the Lord, and not something of this world. So I'm always grateful to him for that.
yeah.
So yeah. Also, I would say reading alludes back to what I was saying before. Reading the Bible gives you a good understanding of God, and it definitely ties into your relationship with Him. It's just like you have the name Jesus Christ, but it's nice to know of him and what he did and why you want to talk to him. So all those three things, fasting, prayer, reading, meditation, just being quiet and listening to God, something I learned at White Oak. They've had a couple sermons about that. Um, that has been important, just listening for God. And I'm not gonna claim that he's like speaking in my ears per se, but I definitely see him speaking in my life. And so I kind of view it as a trait. Is the more time that I give him, the more he's gonna talk back to me and my
Mhm.
life. So I just try and take some time to be quiet with God, meditating, listening to him, and what he has to tell me for that week, month, year, my future.
Yeah. So when you were talking about fasting, you were saying that, it's kind of a hard practice,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And some of those other ones probably have their own challenges as well. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you faced in trying to grow spiritually?
I was terrible at praying. I was definitely probably the worst prayer. I would only talk to God when I needed something from him. Uh, and I was just like, "Dad, this is what I need from you." and and then once I was given it, I would just, months, weeks go by, whatever it may be. Dad, I need this. I need this from you. Um, and I understood that that was wrong, and that that's not how you build a relationship with anyone. Is I do apply human relationship to my relationship with God in certain ways, and that's one of them. Is that God wants you to treat Him normally and not just like He's just this magical gift giver. Like, He wants to understand you, be personal with you, have conversations with you. So once I learned that through prayer, I would just start talking to him about my day, like I would anyone else. Like, how are you doing, God? How's your day going? What miracles have you performed today? Um, I would tell him things going on in my life. And being grateful, like I said, is very important. If I don't have anything to say, be grateful. Uh, and praying for my friends as something I've been really working on recently. Friends, family, people I meet. I got the book that we got that night that you hosted the Sunday service or
The
not
net of
Sunday, the
formation.
night of
Yeah.
formation. We got that book that night, and I've kept it, and I've been writing people's names down that I meet throughout my journey. People I just want to pray for because I'm bad with names. I can forget names, especially when praying. So it's nice to just have this to refer to. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I can't forget mom, can't forget dad, can't forget this friend. It's just like,
Guy in the yellow hat.
yeah, I see guy in the yellow hat, exactly. So yeah, just remember to pray for other people because their journey with God's just as important with mine, and a lot of people could use a prayer.
Yeah.
So I've just been trying to remind myself of that too.
Well, thank you for sharing a little bit about your prayer journey here. It sounds like it looks a lot different than it used to, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Can you say a little more about like that difference and kind of what it looked like before versus what it looks like now?
Yeah. Consistency has been something that's changed a lot in that. Uh, Definitely, like I said, would pray like maybe once a week at most. That's being generous. It was more monthly. Uh, Even when I was younger, it was yearly. So that was a hard habit to build, being consistent with prayer. And I'm not a morning person, so it's hard to be like, first thing when I wake up, time to pray. So praying before bed has been easy for me, being a nighttime person and all that. It's when I feel most awake, most connected with God. So I definitely pray before I go to bed. That's a good window I found. Or like just ever had a conversation with a friend when I get into my car, time to pray. Or when I get home, like I said, just sitting in the car, time to pray. And I find that to be the best time because if you're in your car, you just did something. If you just got home, it's like perfect time. Like you just did something. Pray about what you just did. Communicate with God. I just did this. So yeah, definitely consistency is something I've changed on a lot.
It's interesting how like growing up, you know, y I was always taught, like, yeah, you gotta have this quiet time with God and, whether it was explicitly stated or not, it was like, it needs to be in the morning, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know where that came from,
Yeah.
but
Morning people.
I guess,
That's where
right?
it came from.
'Cause, I mean, I forced myself to be a morning person now, but it was so freeing when I realized that, "Oh, man, my relationship with God doesn't need to be 5 AM, at my dining room table, whatever." It can be at 6 PM when you get home from work in your car, in the
Yeah.
driveway, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, it's, 'cause I apply the logic, like, if you're calling a friend, it's like, do you wait for a certain time to call your friend?
Yeah.
No. Like, you just do it whenever the need is. So,
Yeah.
we need God a lot, so the need's there a lot of the time, so phone a friend as much as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's that consistency that you're
Mhm.
talking about here, right?
Yeah.
That's what shows the commitment to the relationship, right?
Yeah, and as I would also say, like, I was nervous to pray to God a lot of the time because I was like, I don't feel like I have anything good to say to him, or it's not the right moment. Like I'm in front of people, I can't just hands together, like I said. So it was just like, I feel like there's like maybe a stigma or something, or an intimidation where it's like you have to be a certain way to pray. It's like once again, you can talk to your friends in any circumstance. So even if you just gotta say a quick thing in your head while you're at work or at the gym or whatever it may be, uh, definitely do that. I don't think that prayer is any less than if you were like formally prostrating like in your room or whatever. I think all prayers are heard. So yeah, definitely just don't be like anxious about it. There's no reason for that. God's always ready to listen.
That's great. That's so good. So let's talk about what role does confession play in your prayer life, and how has that maybe changed in the way that you experience grace or healing?
Oh, that is something I've recently learned. It is so important to be so honest with God. Minute details honest with God when you're confessing sin to him. Because if I'm just general and be like, God, take my pride away, take my lust away, take my gluttony away, it's just like, just doesn't, I'm not being honest. I'm being vague. I'm being like, oh God, you already know. You already know what I'm about to, what I need help with. Like, why? And it's just like, if you apply that logic, we just would have already taken that away from you. So when I just know that I've done something wrong and I get into the nitty ditty, like details of that, it changes how it plays out significantly. It is, say, can really, it shapes your heart. That's why I would go with that. Is that it shapes your heart in the direction that you want to move because then you're honest with God. And obviously God prioritizes honesty. He takes that very seriously because you have to be honest with yourself to grow on your sin. And if you aren't being honest with yourself, well, then you'll never be honest with God. So it's really just that self-honesty, honesty to God. Also, it's just, I'm trying to be more honest with my friends, confess with friends, be honest with them. I work on that a lot. It is important to tell people because if you keep that to yourself, it seems like, oh, nobody knows. I don't have to work on that. I can keep that all to myself. Uh, just if it's out there, they're also going to be there to support you. Like, I have friends that text me, like, I tell them things I'm going through, and they'll text me, be like, how is this going? Here's your, I'm confronting you. I'm confronting you today. Did you rival that today? Did you beat that today? How is that going for you? Do you want to talk about it? That has been really helpful, so helpful, and that's where I would say the community comes in, like, you have community people around you that wanna see you improve, it just makes you wanna improve so much more because you got a support team standing behind you, holding your back up, and I always think of it in that ways, God's always staying there with his hand behind your back, and every time you fall, he pushes you right back up, so it's not to get nervous about it and to get in your head feeling that guilt is that you just lay it all out in front of them. Do not sit in that guilt. That guilt will consume and it will make God feel so, so far away from you. You don't want to be far away from God. His heart is where you want to be headed to. So don't let that devil get in your ear and really destroy your outlook on God. It's just that guilt. Remove that guilty feeling when confessing to God. Uh, that has been so crucial for me because I've been able to walk away from so much things that I thought were impossible to walk away from through just that I'm doing this wrong. Help me. Here's everything as much as I can tell you how I'm doing it wrong. All right, now let's work. Let's move on from that.
Yeah. As you're speaking, I'm reminded of what social researcher Brene Brown says, that shame grows with secrecy, silence, and judgment.
Mhm.
And it sounds like what you're describing is in your conversations and your confessions with God, so specific, you get to own that
Mhm.
before God.
Exactly.
And then in confessing it with him and confessing it with others, it doesn't live in silence, it doesn't live in secrecy anymore.
Exactly. Yes.
So it can't have this hold on you in
Mhm.
that way. That's so powerful. How long, I mean, what was the shift to get there, you think?
It was like I was saying before, it's I was telling God things, and I didn't feel like it was changing, and I was confused why, because I've heard it said, like, confess your sins.
Yeah.
They will be forgiven and move on. And then I kind of struck me as that like I'm not confessing my sin in the sense of I'm confessing it in a broad way. And I'm just saying like the general topic, and I'm like, oh God, you already know. You already know what I need help with. Why am I even doing this? And is that it's like I once again I would apply that logic of a friend is like a lot of us wish people around us were mind readers and they just knew what was going on in our lives all of the time and how they could help without us even telling them. And I just don't see God really playing that role. Obviously he can, but is that he would rather you just be honest because there's importance in that honesty. Um, because then like once you're just honest with yourself, you can grow so much further, like, and then you can admit to yourself, I have these problems. These are my issues. You can just grow through that. So stay away from the guilt.
Yeah, yeah. I think about God sometimes as a parent, and I don't know why I always picture it at like a little league game or whatever, where God sees everything that happens, but
Mhm,
it's still important for the kid to share everything that happened in the game that day,
mhm,
even though the parent was there watching the whole thing. And even if the kid did something wrong, like, teaching that kid to own it, right?
mhm,
To confess it it's a growth thing there.
mhm,
And God is that kind of parent. He loves us so much. He wants to share in our joys, and he wants us to grow from all of those setbacks, all of those pains and things like that. Man, it, I love hearing about all these ways that God is shaping and growing you. What about how these practices that we've just discussed, how have those things shaped your relationship with Jesus and others specifically?
um, you say that one more time?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So how have these practices that we've been discussing here, how have they shaped your relationship with Jesus and with others?
My relationships improve from that because closer I am with God, the more I can understand God. And I apply that logic to my friends is like the closer I am with them, the better I can help them with their issues. Um, is like the truth be told is we all have issues, all have problems that we need solved. So just communicating with God, bring myself closer to Him, I can feel so much more connected to my fellow Christian friends because we're all aimed towards the same body of Christ. Um, so as I work with my relationship with God, I'm also deepening my connection with my friends because we all love God. So just being able to just sit there and chat with them about God, the things they're struggling with, things that they don't understand, and being able to explain those things to them has been incredible. Seeing them grow it boosts my face so much more is like seeing I have a best friend. He was not the most religious guy in high school. And ever since I remember being 16 years old, sitting in the high school parking lot, talking to him about theology and just like the questions that he had about things like that. And he did not respond the same way he does now. Is like now I baptized him a few weeks ago
Yeah.
and being able to see him grow and our connection being built on Christ, a foundation that I know will never break, versus relationships that I have that are of this world that I see fade away every time, is that I know that there is a person in him because Jesus is in him, is that God is working with him, so he is for me, and that our relationship has just boomed
Yeah.
because of our relationship with God and our foundation of that. So seeing them grow makes me wanna deepen my faith too.
Sure.
Seeing them get deep with God, I'm like, "All right, well, then I need to ramp it up a bit." They're working hard to be with God, so I wanna be working even
Yeah.
harder. I was like, "You guys can't one up me."
Yeah. It's this spurring on of one another, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you're talking, so much of what you're describing is a different depth of relationship with your friends and with God.
Mhm.
It sounds like you're experiencing the richness of that depth.
Mhm, absolutely.
That's good. So what would you say to someone who thinks formation or deep faith is only for mature, older people?
Not true. I would just say, "You're crazy." God belongs to absolutely everybody. Uh, I do feel like I've met a lot of people my age that have this perspective. I guess it comes from maybe their parents or just seeing older people going to church and whatnot. Is that they think like that's an outdated kind of it's a word look on life,
Mhm.
and that modern day we have so many more ways of developing ourselves, and I tried some of the ways that they go about it. I don't agree. I think Jesus is absolutely the way, the truth. So it is disappointing to hear that people struggle so hard my age with getting closer to God. I think he's available to any age group, any person. He's a friend, and you can make a friend out of any age at any point in time. Um, the role they may play may be different. If you're younger, God's going to be a parent to you. He's going to teach you things. He's going to help you evolve into a fine young person. Um, but he's also your friend. He is your best friend. He is there listening to you whenever you need it. Um, that has helped me so much as someone who feels like I never really had friends that were like always listening when I needed them. Um, Obviously now I have incredible people I met, but when I was younger, I have felt that way incredibly, that there wasn't always someone to talk to, someone that would listen and understand what I'm going through. God understands it all. He's the best person to talk to. So at any point in my life, whether I'm 15, 16, 20, he has been an effective method of solving out my problems, just having someone to conversate with when I'm just alone in my car at the end of the day. So yeah, I would love to see people my age understand that like you don't have to live the life that society wants you to live. You don't have to have a fun Friday night in the way the world wants you to live. You don't have to dabble in things that they don't want you that God wouldn't want you to. Is that God sources things out. He takes away those desires for you. So just focus on that. Focus on God and just focus on the heart of God. I reiterate that so much. Just focus on the heart of God.
Yeah.
Everything else comes with it. Desires will be taken away to live in that world.
Mm.
It's a building process.
Yeah, yeah. If someone's listening right now, if they're curious about formation or taking their faith more seriously, but maybe feels a little overwhelmed, what would you say is a good first step for?
Talk with God. I would definitely say talk with God. It's just like if there's like I was nervous coming into this. So in my car I just prayed. I just went, God, give me wisdom, give me strength, take away the anxiety, fill me with excitement, being excited to talk about you with somebody is that and I came in here, I was like, all right, we're gonna do this. Maybe I'm still nervous. I'm definitely am. But I talked with God about it, and anytime I'm nervous, as someone that, like, I get nervous any time of the day for any circumstance. I get in my head about it. I was like, I have to get in my head about going to Bible study sometimes. I was like, oh, I'm not really feeling it this time, or like it just seems overwhelming. I'm too tired for it. I talked with God before because I'm just like, God, clear my head, bring calmness to my heart.
Mhm,
So, in any circumstance where something seems intimidating, nervous, talk with God about it.
mhm.
Because at the end of the day, He's going to take care of all of that for you.
It's so funny how we can get so in our own heads about it, you know,
Hmm.
before we even take that first step,
Hmm.
those first utterances to talk to God.
Yeah.
It's like we create this barrier of anxiety over it rather than just simply going right in and just saying, "Hey, God," you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm disappointed in myself for being anxious. There's so many incredible people, and talking with you has been great. People at White Oak are amazing to talk with. So I'm disappointed that I was anxious because this conversation is amazing. So it's just like there was no point.
But you didn't let it hold you back,
No, I did it. I did it.
and
And that's because God. That's
yeah,
because God said no. And once again, He's on behind my back with His hand. You're going.
yeah,
There's no choice.
yeah,
You're gonna talk about me. Don't you love that?
right.
Go.
And I think about how many of those things that we're not experiencing that God has for us because we let the anxiety of it all just prevent us from getting there,
Hmm.
right? And
Absolutely.
even just if we're able to push through it just a little bit to take that first step, then you start to see glimpses of that richness, and then you just wanna dive even further, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good stuff.
Mhm.
Can you share a moment when God clearly responded to your seeking of him?
When I had been 20 years old, I was very concerned about my future, and I wasn't the best person academically. My GPA, I'm intimidated to admit. So
We won't make you.
I appreciate it. I would freak out. So I was very concerned about my future. Was definitely intimidated by it. Their society, like, you need to get a job, make lots of money, wife, kids. If you don't do that, you failed. You messed up. So that pressure has really dragged me along. And I was intimidated by that for so long. I was like, oh God, help me find a good career, something that's like gonna support me, a family maybe, whatever it may be. Um, then I just in that prayer, I was just like, God, show me the next step. And I was pursuing something, but I knew I didn't have much passion or interest in it. Um, and there was just this one night where I was like, God, where do you want me to be? I feel a breakthrough coming. And then I can't remember if it was specifically the next morning or it was within 3 days. I know that, but I had a conversation with Nathan, the lead pastor, over coffee, and it was like, it's like, "You ever consider pursuing ministry?" And I was like, "I've actually been thinking about that a little bit." I always thought it was something I would do when I'm way older, and then I need to get that golden career first. That's gonna give me tons of money or whatever it may be. Um, but no, he was just like, there's some ups and downs to it, but I think there's something you would really enjoy in that." And I agree wholeheartedly. There's definitely something in ministry I would like, and I felt like that was the breakthrough that I prayed about, is that God wants me to work for Him and do things for Him, which is I've always been passionate about, excited about. I love learning about God, and in whatever form that may take. It's always been enjoying to me. So Nathan gave me a suggestion of some schools and some things I could do to pursue that, and it's all been smooth sailing. And all of that, and my journey with God now has just exploded. Right, I'm just like excited for each new opportunity God has given me in this path, and I just feel like absolutely the breakthrough that I was looking for, that was it. Like, to work for Him,
Wow.
to work in discipleship of God.
Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, what a decision.
Yeah. Intimidating a little bit, yeah.
I know it well, yes, but man, that's exciting for you, especially if you have the peace that this is where God is leading, if that's the breakthrough, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, I have that piece for
That's
sure.
great. That's so good. What's one thing that you hope people take away from your story or from this conversation today?
Uh, no matter what age you are, God is available. No matter what point in your life you are in, God is available. Uh, I, once again, was not smart in school. I made terrible decisions growing up. Um, a lot of things that I'm not proud of, and that was very hard to admit to God. And God, I felt like to God, I would tell him all the time, like, I am a stupid person. I am not good at anything. I'm just gonna coast by for the rest of my life, never shoot for the stars. Even though I had that fire in me burning to do something incredible, I was just ready to accept my fate of just, you're just gonna be a mediocre person, an average Joe. Um, but once again, there was a fire in me that entire time. It's just like, Sean, what are you talking about? How long can you convince yourself of this? And that I want people to know, like, if you feel that doubt in that next step, is that that is not of God. God is going to give you confidence. He's going to lift you up. He's going to give you the best possible outcome. And I can say that in evidence of my life is that I went for so long in doubt of just everything going on around me, not even in God, but just the people around me, my circumstances, all of that. Is that God will offer you the next step, and it may not be what you want. What God wants and what we want have not always aligned, at least in my experience. So, just listen to God and follow closely to His heart. That is so important. It's just pursue God's heart in every way, shape, or form. That is advice I would want everyone to hear. Is that God is there.
Are there any resources, maybe some books or some mentors, podcasts, or other types of experiences that have really helped to shape your faith or your understanding of spiritual practices that you would want to share with us?
Yeah, for like my theology stuff, when I was working at a certain job, I would listen to this podcast called The Bible Thinker. He talks a lot about like theology and like questions like baptism. It's a controversial thing in different churches and like when it should be performed and whatnot. He'll touch on those topics, which is something that's always been interesting to me. Um, there is there's this pastor named Marie Emmanuel. He is an Australian pastor. He shows up on TikTok, Instagram. He has a love for God that I've never seen in any other person. And I'm just viewing him through a screen, and I feel like I can feel his love for God radiating. And there's a good story with him. He was recently attacked during a service, and he just after that attack, he just was just like, pray for him. I'm going to be praying for him. So he just has this trust in God that is so admirable. And there's another gentleman, I can't remember his last name. His first name's Cliff. His last name starts with a K. He goes to college campuses and talks with people my age pursuing
Mhm.
school. He has a podcast as well. Not He's more accessible on YouTube though. I would watch him on YouTube because the podcast, it's good to see it face to
Yeah,
face.
yeah.
But him and his son, they go to college campuses, talk with people. And a lot of the questions I had, they would answer because it's just like the people my age, they're wondering the same things I am.
Mm.
So being able to hear those questions answered by someone who's been engaged in that sphere for quite some time now was very, very helpful in me growing with God.
Mhm.
Um, I would just say the resources are there. It's just like if you're interested in a certain secular thing that you want to remove from your life. Like I said, like I was very big into music growing up. Um, and I understood a lot of the stuff I was listening to wasn't glorifying God. And that it was pushing me further and further away from God because it was getting into my head. I was thinking, oh, well, this rapper is living this kind of lifestyle. Like that must be the dream lifestyle. They have money, fame, glory, everything's in their name. And I just understood at a point with my relationship with God that this wasn't bringing me any closer. If anything, it was pushing me away. So Christian artists, if you're like me and you like modern rap music, I would suggest Alex Jean, Caleb Gordon. Those are great rappers. There's Maverick City if you like rock and roll music. Those guys are great. Yeah.
It's a great time in Christian rap music.
Oh, it is absolutely, yeah.
There really is some good stuff out there.
Mhm.
So I love hearing how like you had these questions and you sought some answers and you found some really great content, it sounds like, to help kind of steer you in that direction. But there would have been a shift, right? From, just the online content to the in-person community and stuff like that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I also gotta give all that to Nathan. It was all because of him inviting me. Well, I got baptized. I think that's how he got my number. But he texted me to go to a Bible study, and I went in there with the mindset as like, these guys don't know nothing about theology. I probably know more theology than them. Like, I kind of went in there with a prideful mindset. I'll admit that for sure. Um, but then just hearing these people talk and their genuine stories, their relationship with God, and that I was actually wrong. A lot of these people like really are pursuing God to extreme lengths that I was going after God. So seeing that just like open up this world is like, okay, there actually is.
Mm.
I guess I had a very negative mindset, is that there wasn't as many people pursuing God in the way that I was,
Mhm.
and I was terribly wrong.
Mm.
I was blown away with how wrong I was. Is there's so many people, especially in my experience at White Oak, everyone here I met smiles all around, and they have a love for God in the same way I do. And it's so nice to be able to share that with people here. So that has dragged me in even further, seeing the people around me at my Bible study, going to church with them, and just knowing that like I'm just with people and we're just all there to praise the Lord.
Mm.
That's the goal, is to be around people that want to praise the Lord the same way you do.
Mhm.
So yeah, just community has really helped me,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I love how so much of your story seems like God meeting you in your intellect, in your questioning, and finding your heart,
Mhm,
finding what's deep in here. You know what I mean? It's
mhm,
really such a cool story that God's writing in your life. It's
mhm.
awesome.
Appreciate it.
So for the person that feels stuck, what would you say to them?
I feel stuck, what'd you say to them? I feel stuck a lot. There's many times. I mean, I felt stuck. I felt disconnected. Last week, I felt very disconnected from God. It's like I can feel his warmth the majority of the time, especially if like I'm actively trying to pursue him. But last week I did not. And I kind of look around and I go, okay, what am I doing in my life that could be possibly dragging me away from my relationship with God? Um, and last week it was just that I hadn't been praying as much, and I walked away from reading the Bible. Which was something I was getting really consistent at. I was reading it every night before bed, and then I stopped doing it for whatever reason the devil planned that out. So I re-engaged with that to get closer, get my connection back with God, as I just went back to the things that I was priorly practicing. And I didn't let that guilt and shame get to me. It definitely was there. It always is there. That guilt and shame, feeling like, oh, you messed up. God is upset with you. And that makes me feel stuck a lot of the time, feeling like I'm stuck in that guilt and shame. And it's to know that God is always having a heart for you. He loves you. He's not per se happy with you making those mistakes, but he loves you nonetheless, and that love doesn't ever go away. So it's just re-engaging with God. If you felt stuck, that implies that before you felt, like you were growing with God. So question, what was the difference from when you were growing with God to now feeling stuck. What changed? And in that change, that's where I normally find like, oh, it's because, you're judging, or you're not reading the Bible. You're not in prayer as much as you should be. You're not pursuing him and growing in knowledge of you and his relationship, of the things that he's done thus far throughout history. It's just like, keep in that pursuit. And that stuck feeling will never be there if you're just constantly go, deepening your relationship with God.
I think that's a powerful question you just asked there. If I'm feeling disconnected from God, what am I doing or not doing that's changed from when I felt like I was connected to God, right? Because I think so often we look at it, it's so easy to think, oh, God, you've changed, And it's like, God's still there.
Yeah.
What have we done differently?
Yeah.
What have we stopped doing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I appreciate that honest reflection question there, because I think that will be, for anybody who's stuck, that's a great place to start. It is kind of some self-reflection there. That's great.
Self-reflection is key. Absolutely.
Oh, man. John, there have been so many things in you sharing today that have just been really thought-provoking and really encouraging. And I think, to those who are watching, listening, they're going to take a lot from that. So thank you for volunteering to share with us here today. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity. I'm really glad to be here and talk with you. It's been great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love that question. It was like, whenever you heard God speak like indefinitely, that like, I've seen God speaking when it comes to like me working in ministry. He speaks the most. Like, he like makes he has aligned all of the stars perfectly. And I've never experienced that. I'm always someone who's like, I gotta call off work. Like, it's always stressful trying to plan things. And then for this to just be like Nathan called me to have coffee to talk to me about it. Like, God has moved that for me in every way. As someone who is like normally have to pursue it, it's like, yeah, God is present for me when it comes to working in ministry. And that's what gives me so much confidence in doing that. And that's why I think he's been so hands-on with it, because it just gives me the confidence to want to go further with it.